Hello Nidorinas and Nidorinos, I'm KingNido, and today it is the Turffield Ebonies going up against the Pastoria Hydras, as whoever wins this last match of round 4 will cement their spot as second on the leaderboard for Season A1. But with that said, let us know in the comments below who you think is going to win this matchup. Will it be the grass decks or will it be the water decks? And whilst you're down there, if you do enjoy this type of content, why not leave a like, share, subscribe, but enough of that. Let's send it down to the field and see how these two sides can go.
3, 2, 1, go!
And it is going to be that Shelter Armor deck of the Pastoria Hydras, as they're looking at using that Shelter in the active spot there. But instead they quickly change their mind to the Lapras, using that Shelter on the bench as they are going first, having flipped that heads. It is the Scyther from the bugged out deck going into the active spot with the Caterpie on the bench for the Ebonies, and they do have that Metapod in hand plus the 2 Pokeballs as well. But as we said, it is the Hydras who are going first, and it is the Misty card being pulled, and they're immediately going to play that fit. This will go until they get Tails, and they've got the first heads, they've got the second, they get the third, and they get 3. If this had gotten 4, that Scyther would have been wiped off the table with this Hydro Pump, but fortunately for the time being, it is only going to do 20 damage to this Scyther. But that is a terrible start here for the Turffield Ebonies. Fantastic for the Pastoria Hydras, as that is Pinsir being pulled for the Ebonies into their hand. They are going to play that first Pokeball, and I have to assume they're going to play the second one. They pull a Weedle on that first one, and they do opt to play that second Pokeball straight away, thinning out that deck just a little bit, pulling the second Caterpie from their deck as well. They opt to play down that Pinsir, probably knowing that it has the power to take out that Lapras. As they put that first energy on the Pinsir, they know what's about to happen to Scyther here. In that active spot, there is the Pokeball being pulled for the Hydras. Surely they want the Squirtle. They've got that Wartortle and Blastoise in hand, and they do get the Squirtle as well. And they've already got that Leaf in hand as well for those double retreats if needed. But here's that fourth energy going into the Lapras. It is now going to do 90 damage with this Hydro Pump, thanks to that Misty setup. And there is that Scyther being wiped off the board to get that early lead and first point to the Pastoria Hydras. This is not looking good at the moment for the Ebonies. They need 2 heads from this Pinsir. It will get 2 coin flips, and for each one, it will do 50 damage to Lapras. There's the Kakuna being pulled as well for the Ebonies, immediately being placed down onto that Weedle and the Metapod onto the Caterpie. But here is the Ebonies. They need to get 2 heads with these 2 coin flips. They've got 1, and they get the second one. Lapras is taken off the board in retaliation by the Ebonies. They needed that one because Lapras would have been able to run rampant over this bugged out deck. But it is now a level playing field, both sides having gained a point over the other. They do put Shelter into that active spot through the Pastoria Hydras as they pull their second Misty card, and they're going to use it on the Squirtle, hoping to set up that Blastoise nice and early. The coin flip again. They get that first heads, they've got the second, they get the third, they've got 4, that 5, 6, 7, they get 7 heads in a row. That Blastoise is absolutely going to be set up very quickly. This is terrible for the Turffield Ebonies, because how are they going to take down this Blastoise? They do evolve the Squirtle into the Wartortle, and they put that energy from the energy zone onto Shelter, and that Tongue Slap doing just a little bit of chip damage there, 20 to that Pinsir. However, this is not looking good for the Ebonies here in Game 1 in this best of 3 series. The Ebonies do put that energy onto the Metapod. It requires 2 Beedrill if they can get it. Only requires 1, but Pinsir misses the first heads, gets the second, so it will take 50 damage off a Shelter, but it is left with 10 health remaining. The Hydras are in a fantastic spot right now. They will be able to avoid Wartortle into the Blastoise. As they pull the Pokeball, they are going to play that immediately as well, getting that second Shelter. As again, the Hydras, massive control. Some fantastic Misty flips here for the water deck. And they are going to retreat the Shelter onto the bench. This is going to allow Blastoise to do 140 damage, and Pinsir has been annihilated from this match. And there's that second point now for the Pastoria Hydras. This is terrible for the Ebonies. They're hoping to get the Beedrill surely on the next turn, and they get the Butterfree instead. It won't be able to do much damage, but the Hydras are surely going to take game 1 here at the moment, as they do put the Butterfree onto the Metapod. They're going to do that 30 damage with the Bug Bite. This will count towards the leaderboard. It's always crucial to do as much damage as you can. And speaking of as much damage as you can, they're not going to set up the energy. They're just going for the elimination. Blastoise with that Hydro, 140 damage, takes out Kakuna, and the Hydros run away with game 1 thanks to some fantastic Misty support. And that's 3 losses in a row now for the Turffield Ebonies. They need to bounce back. They get the heads, so they will be going first as they are using that Seeded Growth deck going up against the Aquatic Ambience deck of the Hydros. They've got the Snivy in hand. They've also got the Petalil, as they are going to put that Petalil in the active spot. Snivy will go on the bench, and they've got that Servine in hand as well. It is Tentacle going onto that active spot. They've got the Tentacruel in hand for the Pastoria Hydros, but as we said, the Ebonies are going first. They aren't going to be able to generate an energy just yet, but they do have that Professor's Research, so they do play that immediately, getting those extra 2 cards. They get the Ivysaur, they get the Superior, they've got the Venusaur as well, so surely they want that Bulbasaur as quickly as they can. Second Tentacruel for the Pastoria Hydros, playing their Pokeball on this turn. They've also got the Giovanni and that Pokemon Flute. As they get the Finneon out of their deck, they are going to put it on the bench for that extra support. The Tentacle getting that first energy onto it. It is going to go with the Gentle Slap. It will be doing 20 damage here to Petal, so not much, as it is a 60 health Pokemon. It's got 40 remaining. And that's now 2 Ericas in hand for the Turffield Ebonies, as they do put that first energy onto Petalil, and they're going to evolve Snivy into that Servine, and this block will only do 10 damage to Tentacle, but it will also restore 10 health for Petalil, which is just as crucial. But unfortunately for the Ebonies, that Tentacruel is in hand, so they will be able to evolve that Tentacle and finish off Petalil right here, right now. All they have to do is put that second energy onto Tentacruel, as we see taking place now, and it is going to go with those Poison Tentacles. It will leave it with that Poison status condition, but that is completely irrelevant because the 50 health will get that first point for the Hydros once again here in Game 2, as they are looking to take full control here and win this series. It is Servine going into the active spot as the Ebonies get their second Ivysaur. They still need the Bulbasaur. They can play that Superior as well, but they may opt against it, as we see happening now, because they know that Tentacruel will leave Servine with that poisoning. They've got the Ericas in hand. They will be able to restore some health, as that second Tentacle for the Hydros is pulled from their deck going onto the bench. The Giovanni being played by the Hydros. They want that extra 10 damage onto Servine. It is going to do 60. That extra 10 will leave Servine with only 10 health, but again, that Superior will be coming into play. There's a second Venusaur for the Ebonies. They desperately need the Bulbasaur in hand to get these Venusaurs online. There's that second energy for the Servine. They play the Erica. They're going to restore that 50 health, very crucial, and here it is, Servine coming on to the board, and thanks to that ability, those grass energies will be multiplied, so there's now the equivalent of 4 on Superior, allowing it to do 70 damage with that Solar Beam onto Tentacruel, but not enough to take it out, so Tentacruel will be able to respond. As we see that second Tentacruel being put online on the bench, it gets its second energy as well. And the Hydras are actually going to play their X speed, so they're going to retreat the active Tentacruel just to keep it in play and not concede any points to the Ebonies, putting that healthier Tentacruel into action. And there's that Poison Tentacle. Superior is going to be left with that Poison status condition this time. Ebonies will clearly want to play that second Erica as they get the Professor's Research, though. That could be all important, but they must not want to give up Superior at this point either. And we know they're going to want that Bulbasaur to get online. That Professor's Research could get it, but they want that Superior to remain in action, so they do play the Erica. They can get that third energy onto Superior. It will go for that Solar Beam, 70 damage onto that second Tentacruel, leaving it with 40 health. But there it is, that poisoning continuing to chip away at Superior. The Lumineon being pulled for the Pastoria Hydros, which is great because it can target benched Pokemon, doing 50 damage to them if the Ebonies do decide to play that Bulbasaur, if they're even able to get it in hand. And once again, the Poison Tentacles onto Superior. It will be left with 10 health after taking this poisoning. And even if this ends after the second game, we will still go into a third game because it does count towards the leaderboard. All the damage, all the points do get tallied up, regardless of if the series ends after 2 games. It is the Petalil and Lilligant being pulled for the Turffield Ebonies. Again, no Bulbasaur, but they can get that energy onto the Petalil. They can go for the Solar Beam. This will take out the Tentacruel, but the Poisoning will finish off Superior. And they're really thinking about what to do. The Ebonies here, they do go with the Solar Beam. They get the one on the board, but again, Superior is going to fall to that Poisoning. They're going to be left to put that Petalil on the board, but first the Hydras need to decide what they're going to do. They do opt to go with the Tentacruel into action. There goes the Superior. Second point for the Pastoral Hydras. They just need one more Petalil all by itself put into that active spot. And this is not good for the Ebonies because Tentacruel is going to go with the Poison Tentacles. It does do 50 damage, and that Poisoning is actually going to finish off Petalil. So the Hydras take game 2. They will take the series. We will be going into game 3 with the 2 remaining decks as the Ebonies look to claw back some points and damage. But we now know the Hydras will be sitting in second at the end of this round. Once again, the Ebonies are going first. They don't want to drop this in straight sets as they're using that Plant Trap deck. They do place the Bellsprout in the active spot. It's the Froakie from the Frozen Pond deck for the Pastoral Hydras going into their active spot, as they both only have a single active Pokemon in play. The Shiinotic being pulled for the Turffield Ebonies as they play their Pokeball. They've also got that Exeggutor from the Mythical Island. It's the Morlul for the Ebonies that they're able to put onto the bench immediately, and they are going to send it over to the Pastoral Hydras who pull the Poliwhirl. They've got the Poliwrath. They've also got that Frogadier, so that Froakie will surely be evolved soon. As they play the Professor's Research, they get their second Poliwrath, and now they've got 2 Misties in hand after that Shell Armor deck had such good luck with the Misty in game 1. There's that 10 damage being done to Bellsprout as they are going to pull the Victory Bell. Do the Ebonies putting that Victory Bell in hand? They're going to play the Shiinotic surely to evolve that Morlul. As they think about what they may want to do though, they opt to put their first energy onto Bellsprout here, and they are going to go with the Vine Whip, just going straight on the offensive here. But they are unaware that that Froakie does have the Frogadier in hand, and now so is the Greninja. So soon that Greninja will surely be online, as we are going to see Frogadier get its second energy here. We'll be able to go for that Water Drip, doing 30 damage to the Bellsprout. It is in elimination range for the Water type deck. It's that Exeggutor now from the Genetic Apex being pulled for the Turffield Ebonies. The Erica being played to restore the health of Bellsprout. They're unaware that that Greninja will be online shortly. Shiinotic being put into play, and it does get its first energy as the Vine Whip onto Frogadier, chipping away still at that health. It has 40 remaining. And it's the second Frogadier for the Hydras in hand. They don't have the second Froakie yet, but they have that Greninja being put into the active spot. It gets its third energy. It only requires 2. It is going to go with the Water Shuriken. It will shortly target that Shiinotic in the backline on the bench, because that Mist Slash is going to finish off Bellsprout regardless of it being back at full health. And once again, the Pastoral Hydras take 0.1 in the matches between the Grass decks and the Water decks. Now Shiinotic is going to be put into that active spot as the Execute. Wow, that was way harder to say than I expected. But back to the action. Execute being put on the bench. The Flickering Spores will do 50 damage to Greninja. It's also going to put it to sleep. Hydras need to flip just a single heads, and they get it. So Greninja is going to be back awake. So with that ability, it will be able to do 20 damage to Shiinotic and finish it off. But the Poliwag has been pulled for the Hydras as well. They can put that into the bench and start getting some energy, as they've got the Poliwhirl and the Poliwrath in hand as well. And there's that 20 damage with the Water Shuriken to Shiinotic, and it is finished off with this Mist Slash, doing that 60 damage as Execute. I need to be very careful of how I say that word. Is going to be put into the active spot, and the Ebonies will need to decide which Exeggutor they want to use. Whether it is the Stomping Exeggutor that only requires the single energy, which will guarantee the elimination of this Greninja. They do put the Morlul that they've just pulled onto the bench, and it is Exeggutor from the Genetic Apex. It will do 30 damage. If they get the heads, it does an extra 30. They don't need it though, and they do only get the tails. Greninja is taken out. The Ebonies getting their first point in this match. Now the Ebonies need to be very careful of what happens next, because we know that Poliwhirl will surely be coming online, but if that Poliwrath gets online, it has that counter-attack ability, as the Professor's research that was just pulled gets played for the Hydros. They get the Articuno, they get the Pokemon Flute as well. They are going to put that Articuno onto the bench as well, as we see that Poliwhirl being put online. It does get that second energy, so it can start chipping away at Exeggutor, but again, Exeggutor needs that head flip now for the stomp. It needs to get that 60 damage to try and get as close to possible as taking Poliwhirl out of this match. It is that coin flip from the stomp, and they get the tails. That is not good for the Ebonies, only doing 30 damage, because now the Hydros can evolve the Poliwhirl into the Poliwrath, who will be able to do 80 damage. It is not enough to take out Exeggutor, but it has that counter-attack ability. As the Hydros are looking for the clean sweep, they do play the Misty just in case for the Articuno. Getting a heads, they're having fantastic luck with this Misty. 3 heads before the tails, so Articuno is already set up, ready to go as well. They place down that second Articuno that they have in hand onto the bench as well, and from the energy zone, setting up Poliwrath. It is going to go with the Mega Punch, 80 damage. If Exeggutor goes on the offensive, it will be eliminated by the counterattack, but it will also mean that the Hydros don't get to do extra damage, as they are going to surely take this game 3. The Ebonies just have to decide, and they clearly know that is the choice to make. They go for the coin flip. They even get the head, so they get that 60 damage that will count towards the leaderboard, as they give up game 3, knowing it was not going to go their way. But from a side who had not dropped a game until last round, the Ebonies have had a terrible showing here in round 4, whereas the Hydros are now in second place after round 4. But with that, Nidorinos, thank you so much for watching. Let us know in the comments below what you thought the best card was, and if you enjoyed what you saw, please leave a like, share, subscribe, but more importantly, always remember, send thanks, and I'll see you when you see me.